To President Shutkin, the Presidio Board, interim Dean Quevedo, and distinguished members of faculty, it is an honor to be here today along with my fellow speakers, alumni, special guests, family members, and friends who are gathered here today. Most of all, it's an honor to be here with all of you, the graduating class of 2012. And what a beautiful place to hold commencement. I grew up in San Francisco, so I already have some amazing memories here at the Palace of Fine Arts, and I lovingly add this one to my collection. Another recent memory was earlier in the semester when I shockingly found a few hours to go to the After Dark event at the Exploratorium next door. It must have been sometime between writing our capital markets paper and the lack of sleep I was getting. It's an adult-only event, but there weren't very many grown-ups. I watched adults walk through the doors and succumb to the spirit of yesteryear. A group of us gathered in schoolyard camaraderie at the soap bubble tray. As we awaited our turn to create giant wobbly bubbles, I realized that the magic of bubbles retains its hold on us from childhood to adulthood. So this got me thinking how strange these shimmery spheres of whimsy were so often the namesake of many a sinister phrase. It seems that this was the decade of foreboding bubbles. There was the dot-com bubble, the housing bubble, the credit bubble, and the list goes on. Bubbles are really getting a bad reputation. But my recent adventure at the soap bubble tray has reignited my bubble allegiance. In the name of all good bubbles, I will reclaim your honor, and I want to start with the Presidio bubble. Nearly all of us Presidians have heard this phrase. Some of us have even used it ourselves. Borrowed from living in a bubble, which means to live sheltered from reality, it connotes a sense of naivete. We use this phrase almost unconsciously, an artifact inherited from our school culture. But I'd like to take a moment now to reframe the issue. Now, as we are steps away from crossing its threshold, past the protective confines to the other side where this alleged reality awaits, the Presidio bubble deserves a moment of recognition for the 2, 4, maybe more years it has given us shelter. Oh, the Presidio bubble. Often used as a cautious reminder that not everyone thinks the way we think, and yes, that we must be prepared for this as we continue to embark on this challenging road toward change. Though we inherited this bubble, there is plenty that is made by our own definition. This bubble allows each of us to put our fingerprints on it without making it pop. In our bubble, there are thoughtful conversations about public-private partnerships, ecological economics, and a whole tasting menu of thinking, scenario design, and systems. Conversations flow from classroom to rooftop, tapering off a bit Monday, maybe even Tuesday after res, and emerging again, stronger, as if it knew no beginning nor end. In our bubble, there are dance-offs with plastic bag, tutu-clad fairies, fat ballerina nutcracker, and, of course, jai-ho. There are cuddle puddles in our bubble. Even before they were properly named, they existed at the Cozy Car, Presidio space, and even our backpacks made their own cuddle puddles Saturday nights at the Hub and the Tempest. Our bubble ever expands to include fellow change agents in Portland and Thailand and back home again, where our loved ones stood by us, fed us, and never once complained that they too somehow found themselves inside a bubble. For this, we are grateful. But there is plenty in our bubble it does not contain. It has no room to allow the status quo to remain unchallenged. No room for business nor policy as usual. No room for idle hands nor cowardice. As we step out, we will be faced with curmudgeons looking to burst our bubble. They'll say, global warming is a hoax, innovation is overrated, and change is too hard. They might even say, what is sustainable management again? But our bubble has been our training ground all along for these challenges, these opportunities. What started off as inklings in Possum by Capstone turned into a concrete foundation on which we stand. As we walk forward today, for all the weight that we may feel on our shoulders, know that the fire hose from which we have been drinking has given us enough. We are well hydrated for the climb ahead. Because, unbeknownst to us, we have adopted the characteristics of a bubble. A bubble is made up of parts that are attracted to one another and bind together to create a whole. For bubbles, these are molecules. For us, it is our shared passion, our values, our optimism, and our belief that change is not created by an individual, but indeed by parts that bind together to create a whole, a community, the Presidio community. Like bubbles, we believe in sharing, compromise, and collaboration. When two bubbles meet, they do not repel at contact, but rather come together to share a common connection. Like bubbles, we are flexible when met with tension, strive for transparency, but still can't help but exude the most vibrant of colors. So remember this as we float off on our individual airstreams. We are full, ourselves containers of all the lessons and all the laughter that we have experienced here in the Presidio bubble. Thank you all for all the amazing moments. Congratulations, class of 2012. We did it!
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you, Jenny, for that very inspirational message. And, you know, we've been talking about language a lot up here, and I speak a really good Texan. Rick Perry is one of my best, so I could say, oops. Just like him. Not to be outdone. But I, too, would like to take this time to welcome our family and friends who have been so important in helping us reach this goal. And thank you for all your support, and I know in my case, patience. Graduates, board, President Shutkin, Dean Quevedo, Chair Cummings, esteemed professors, faculty, and alumni, we are grateful for the knowledge and expertise that you have shared, whether indirectly or directly. When I found out I'd be speaking tonight, I was both honored and humbled at the same time. So like anyone trying to find something important or remembering to say, or inspirational, I started exploring other seminal graduate messages. I looked at the likes of Paul Hawken and, you know, the Steve Jobs message. But I realized that if you're going to say something, you've got to say it from your heart and not somebody else's. So that's what I'm going to do tonight, is speak from my heart. First, I'd like to start with Cohort 13 and other MBA graduates that are graduating with us today. We all have our reasons for coming to Presidio. For some, it's a higher calling to serve society, hopefully with distinction. For others, it's to forge social responsibility in our corrupt, arrogant, and consumptive capitalist system. I mean, when a sitting president says we've abandoned free market principles to save the free market system, you know we're in trouble. Whatever the reason, I'm glad you did choose Presidio, because each and every one of you are a distinctive part of this graduating class. And when removed, you make us a little worse off. This cross-pollination between business and public administration is only natural. It's no secret that outstanding ideas the ones with impact and durability, can be transferred. An innovation in one sector can be transferred to another sector. I mean, Buckminster Fuller himself drew freely from engineering, economics, and biology to tackle problems in transportation, engineering, and urban sustainability. So Cohort 13 and others, PA2 thanks you for this opportunity to cross-pollinate. Now I want to turn my attention to my wonderful colleagues in PA2. We're a small class, so we got very close. And this is where I'm supposed to assure you that every day is going to be sunny and bright from now on, and you're ready to go. I'm not going to lie to you like that. I agree, we've reached a top-notch education from esteemed academics. It has nothing to do with what's behind us. And it's probably even less to do with what's before us, because as Philip Crosby reminds us, the world we are planning for today will not exist tomorrow. No, our success or failure is going to depend on us. To paraphrase the great Ralph Waldo Emerson, what lies behind us and what lies in front of us pales in comparison to what lies within us. I know what lies within each of you. Honor, integrity, revolutionary spirit are just a few words that come to mind. But those are mere words in the absence of action. And I want you to hold that thought for a second, because I want to reminisce for just a moment. Now think about those 87 assigned books, and I think there's more, I was counting, that we read or were supposed to read. All the messages weren't exactly positive. But we can never let those around us, those with a pessimistic message, extinguish our drive to ensure equality, health, happiness, environmental stewardship, exercise of democracy, and respect for each other. No, we cannot allow pessimism to define what's within us or forecast our future. And about those misanthropic compendiums we read, when all is said and done, they're just full of words anyway. Unless you take all those words and form them into a cogent and meaningful and positive discussion. Because it's through discussion that society builds its morals and values, not pessimistic banter. And public policy is that discussion. And it has direct bearing on the freedoms we so cherish today. And I can't think of anyone more qualified than you to lead that discussion. Which reminds me that you just got your diplomas, and they've got the words Master of Public Administration on them. But these are just words too. That is, unless you devote what is within you to bringing meaning to the field, our society, our world, and most importantly, to making those words in your diploma your call to arms. And you are armed quite well, I might add. Now, it seems I'm coming to an end of my time up here on the podium, but before I step down, there's one more book that I want you to consider tonight. I have it right here, and it's a little different than the ones, excuse me, different than the ones we read on this journey together, and that's because this book is blank. We've yet to write this book, and I'm hoping that we'll write this book together. And maybe, just maybe, if we act wisely, courageously, our well-placed colloquy will compel others into action. Together, I know we can author an epic novel about solutions rather than problems, optimism rather than cynicism, and inspiration rather than despair. Remember that together as Presidians, all of us, we are powerful, resolute, credible, and extremely pertinent in this world today. And as leaders in public administration, we should heed Uncle Saul's advice and become reformers, because our masses have reached the point of disillusionment with past ways and values. I'm ready to start the revolution, are you?